Alright, so this video basically just a quick guideline for you how to install Flutter in your computer. So there are 3 requirements here. You need to install Android Studio with all the requirement, and then install the SDK itself, Flutter SDK, and finally install the Visual Studio Code, because we are not going to use Android Studio as our integrated environment, but we're going to use a Visual Studio Code because Visual Studio Code, the IDE provided is very lightweight compared to Android Studio, but we need to install Android Studio because of the SDK, the Android SDK requirement. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and install Android Studio. So to install Android Studio, you need to go to the following website and download Android Studio. So you have to agree to Android Studio and download Android Studio for Windows. Right, and then download. Okay, so once you download it, you can proceed with the installation. So the installation basically quite simple. Just follow the on-screen instruction. Accept, and just continue next, install until all completed. Alright, so finish, and you can start your Android Studio. So do not import. So if you don't have any previous installation, you can just use this option, do not import setting, and wait for the splash screen to display. So this one is up to you, either you want to send or not, so you don't have to if you don't want to. And you'll be given with this dialog, so just proceed next. Standard installation, next. You can choose the way that your IDE look like. So I like this interface. Let's continue next. And these are all the installation setting provided by the Android Studio Setup Wizard. So all you have to do now is just click finish. And the Setup Wizard will download all the necessary tools. Alright, so if you greeted with the user account control, just press yes. So this one basically will install what we call as a Hexams installation installer. Alright, done that, press finish. Okay, so basically you've done with the Android Studio installation, but you need to do a few other things. So you need to go to the configure menu down here. So go to the SDK manager just to check. So you need to make sure that you have at least Android 10 plus R installed as your API. So other than that, you don't have to do anything. Press cancel. Create one AVD. So you go to the AVD manager and create virtual device. So this one is up to you. You want to select which version, but depending on your computer performance, make sure you choose if you have what we call as a good computer performance. For example, like you have like i7 Intel processor with 16 gig of RAM, SSD drive, M.2 drive. You shouldn't be able. You shouldn't have any problem running high resolution devices. But if you don't have good computer like i5 with 8 gig of RAM, so you can choose a lower resolution AVD. So for example, such this Nexus S 480 times 800 screen resolution. So you can choose that. For myself, I'm going to choose 5.6 because I want to test on the smallest screen. So maybe I can choose for the this one. Basically, if you choose this, it came with a Play Store, so you can test if your application need Play Store library. So you can install that. If not, you can just use any other devices that you are interested in. So for example, I want to try Nexus S. So press next. So this one you can choose which API or which Android version that you like to install in your AVD. So for example, I would like to use, if you want to use the latest version like Android R, this is haven't yet releases, so you can use that. But most probably I can get away with Oreo. So I'm going to use this. You can download this and accept the SDK licenses. So wait for the download to complete. Alright, so download completed, finish. So you can proceed with next. And this one I can just put like small size screen and press finish. You can test your AVD to make sure that your AVD is working. And you can close this window. Alright, you can wait for the AVD to complete. And before that, before we proceed with the Flutter SDK installation, so we can give it a try. So let's see if the Android Studio project can be created using the Android Studio IDE. So let us try to create one empty project. So the project located here, and press finish. Forgot to change to Java. So there are two programming language for Android Studio. If you build native application, you can use Kotlin, and you can also use Java. All right, so this is just basically to test if the SDK is working or not. All right, so you have to wait until the indexing down here completed. So wait for it to complete. Okay. Gradual download. So make sure that when you're doing this installation, you need to run this using a good network, because you will download a lot of resources over the internet. Okay, so and bear in mind, I'm running on my machine here, i7 generation 8 generation with 16 gig of RAM and 500 gigabyte of SSD drive. So this is real time. I'm not skipping anything. So you can see the speed and how it goes with all the installation. And of course, my network speed is 200 megabit per second. Still downloading before we can try on this AVD. So you can see this is Android, pure Android operating system, Android 8.1. Okay, you can see the setting down here, there, system. This is Android 8.1 version. But this one, it didn't came with Play Store, because I didn't choose that option to install with the Play Store. Still downloading. You can see there's a lot of files downloaded from the internet. So for the first time, when you create a new project in Android Studio, it will download quite a number of files. For the first time only. Remember, this is on a fresh install laptop. Okay, I haven't yet installed anything, so I'm taking this opportunity to show you the installation process. So still, it took almost 3 minutes. I believe 3 minutes to complete everything, to create new project in Android Studio. Yeah, I know it's quite long. So if you don't have good performance computer, you're going to suffer in terms of this experience. All right, I believe it is done. Okay, now I can give it a try, run this simple project, this empty project here. Okay, so you just have to press this button and make sure that your device is here. And you can wait for the compilation and installation process. So once you press this button, you have to wait for the installation to complete. Don't do anything else. Okay, so invocation, no error. There you go. All right. So that is basically a success. All right, so we don't want to use this because as I mentioned before, Android Studio, it took a lot of resources to run. So I'm going to exit this. I'm going to terminate all the process and can just close this. Sorry. So we're going to continue with Flutter SDK. So to install Flutter, you can just go Flutter download, install Flutter. Okay, so how to install Flutter? So you need to choose which platform or which operating system that you are running. So for example, on this PC, we are using Windows. So you can use the following. You can download the following installation bundle to get the latest Flutter installation, or you can choose to install by using Git. Okay, so the easiest way, you can just straight away and download this file. So let me just choose this version. You can use Git. Git, for example, if you want to use Git, you need to access Git through command prompt, but you need to make sure that the Git is there. So for now, we don't have Git. You need to install Git first if you choose to use command to install by using command prompt. But for now, let's just use the simplest version. So I'm going to take this Flutter window and download. So the size is around 662 megabyte. So wait for the download to complete. So as mentioned here, you can download, you can extract this into the following folder. So I'm going to prepare the folder. So I'm going to create in my PC a new folder called SRC, and inside here we're going to have Flutter directory. So wait for the download complete. All right, so now you can see if you open that zip file, that you can see there's a folder called Flutter. So all you have to do now is just drag that into this SRC folder. So just give it a good drag. And wait. All right, done. So still transferring from the temporary file. So when you unzip, it will took like 1 GB, I think more than 1 GB of storage. Real time, I'm not editing anything, showing you exactly what is needed to install Flutter. This is a complete installation guideline. All right, almost done. Almost there. Right about now. All right, done. Okay, so there you go. So this is our Flutter SDK directory. So the next step here, basically, we need to update our path. So path here basically allow us to access Flutter SDK through command prompt and make it part of the Windows path. So to access path, basically you need to go to the properties, system properties. Go to the advanced setting, environment variables, and path, and then you need to edit and set new. So what you need to do now is to get this bin directory. So copy this bin directory and then put it into here. And then press OK. OK and OK. Alright, so once you have that done, you can see this is the directory. All you have to do now is go to the command prompt and give it a try. So you can give command like flutter doctor. So Flutter doctor is basically the application or the terminal application that check your Flutter installation, all the necessary requirement for the Flutter SDK to run, and check even the latest version of the Flutter has been installed or not. So you can give it a try, give it a command flutter doctor. Alright, so this basically will check everything. So if you see that is problem there, it will basically give you the following summary. Android toolchain, so we need to run the following command: flutter doctor android license. So give that command. Let me try to increase. So you need to run, because you can see there are 4 requirements here and we have 3 problems, 3 warnings here. So the first warning that we encounter is the Android toolchain. So to solve that problem, you need to issue this command, flutter doctor -- android licenses, and just press enter and accept all the licenses. So you don't have to read. If you want to read, go ahead. Just yes, yes, done. Alright, the second problem that we are facing is basically this. So what you need to do here is to install Android Studio. Flutter plugin is not installed, that plugin is not installed. So we need to go back to our Android Studio because you are missing this requirement. I forgot to include that in the installation step. So you need to, actually you don't have to. go from here, configure, go to the SDK manager, and you need to go to the plugin and search for Flutter. Okay, so install Flutter. Again, go to the plugin, search for Flutter, install, and it will automatically ask to install Dart together. Let me try it. Okay, install Dart, accept that for both. Okay, so done that, restart IDE, restart. Alright, so close that, and then try to run Flutter Doctor once again using your command prompt, and let's see if basically solve that problem. Now you can see this problem successfully eliminated. Alright, the fourth warning here, this is basically just a connected use because I didn't, I just shut down the AVD, so that is not much an issue. So this is basically good. Okay, so what we have here, this is okay now, it is working. So that is basically conclude our step number 2. Step number 3 is basically to install Visual Studio Code. So Visual Studio Code, so you can just straight away go to download and download for Windows. Okay, so save. Okay, so Visual Studio Code basically a lightweight IDE, integrated development environment, that basically you can run quite a lot of, you can use the IDE to run a number of programming language. So for this, we just use this for Dart. You can also use for Java, you can use for the Arduino. So there's a lot of, this is basically a versatile IDE and very lightweight also. So to install, you just go ahead and continue with the installation. All right, so accept the agreement, continue, next, 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 and almost done. All right, so you can launch your Visual Studio Code. All right, so the first time that you run your Visual Studio Code, you need to perform the following operation. You need to go to command palette, type in extension or install extension. Select that. So look for Flutter and install. Okay, install this, and you can also, in the meantime, you can install this and what else? Flutter Installation, code completion. Forgot the tab 9. This is also another good. Alright, so make sure installation completed. Okay, so your Flutter done, and your Dart also by default it will automatically install for you. Alright, so that is basically it for the Dart. So you can just for the Flutter integration with Visual Studio Code, you can close and try to rerun this again. Alright, I'm going to show you how to create new project for Flutter. So to create new project for Flutter, you can go to the command palette, new project for Flutter here. Alright, so let's say we just give it a hello world project. Okay, type enter, choose the directory that you wish to store the project workspace. So let's say I want to store the project workspace in the document. So inside here, I'm going to create new, let's say new folder called Flutter workspace. Okay, so I'm going to put this inside this folder. So this project is basically going to be stored in this particular directory. So create a folder to create the project in. Select a folder to create project in. So I'm going to create inside here. All right. So the first time when you create new Flutter project, it will take some time to download all the necessary requirement. And basically much faster than Android Studio. So you can see now it is ready. Okay, you can see that from the terminal down here, run Flutter Doctor, everything seems to be in order. So you have the following Explorer. This is where you code your Dart programming, and this is the output terminal debug component Windows shows. Okay, so execute here. Nothing is wrong. So basically now we can give it a try. So to run Flutter project, all you need to do is just press F5 button. Hold on. Or press start debugging. Okay, so start Nexus 5, and it will automatically launch that AVD that we created from Android Studio. Okay, so you have to wait for a while. Okay, so allow access and wait for the installation to complete. Okay, the first time always takes some time to run. All right, everything almost ready. Because this is very new, and when we try to install this, there are a few requirements missing to it to be able to run in this AVD. So that's why it takes some time to install a few platforms required. But after this, it should be no problem. It will be quite fast to be able to run your project. Okay, so build done. There you go. This is the application automatically generated whenever you create new project with Flutter. So you can just press this button and it will basically update this widget. Alright, so I think that is all, and this basically should help you to do the installation. But bear in mind, this is on my new machine, so I don't have any previous installation. So this should be a good guideline for you to start with. Okay, so that's all.